Hey there, in today's video I'm going to cover the 13 things you really need to know before moving to Utah, and I'm getting after it right now. Welcome back everybody, I'm Greg Spackman and I'm with the Living in Salt Lake City channel. So you want to learn everything about what it's like to live here, eat here, sleep here, play here, then click the subscribe button and the little bell to be notified every time I do new videos. I've been getting a ton of people that are reaching out to me lately about making that move here to the Utah area, and I absolutely love it. So if that's you, give me a call, shoot me a text, send me an email. I've got your back if you're moving here. And so you might be wondering, how do you pick the right city? How do you pick the right area? And how do you pick the right subdivision? Well, that's one of the reasons that you're going to give me a call. But back to the 13 things that you need to know. Number one on the list is the liquor laws. And if you drink alcohol of any type here, then you'll want to know that we have the stringest liquor laws in the entire nation. We have 0.05 for your driving. You're going to need to buy any sort of hard alcohol at the state-run liquor stores, so you're going to pay a little bit more for that than you would in your current state. Because it's state-run, you can get beer and you can get some of the hard seltzers at gas stations and at the supermarket, but you aren't going to be buying like Jack Daniels at the grocery store here in Utah. The state-run liquor stores and any liquor you're not able to purchase here on Sunday, and then the state-run stores are closed on holidays, so you're not going to be getting that on holidays. So make sure you plan ahead if you want alcohol on a Sunday, that you went through that process and you bought it ahead of time. The number two thing that you need to know before moving to Utah is that we have traffic. So if you are moving from a state or city where you don't have any traffic, just know that you're going to be moving to where we have traffic. Utah is exploding in population as more and more people just like you are moving here to Utah. And so we have more and more traffic because the roads aren't keeping up with the amount of people that are moving here. So just know that there is traffic and the drivers here are not good. They have come from all over the United States, in fact, all over the world. And we just have some of the worst drivers that you're going to find anywhere in the nation here. They do weird things. They do like to really run red lights here, and they don't have any red light cameras, nor do the cops seem to pull anyone over for running red lights. So people do it all the time. So you're going to see that when you're here, and just be careful. So maybe take it that extra second and count, or just wait for when the light changes to green, that you don't just, haul ass through the light. You're going to want to make sure that you wait for that. And so that's number two on the list, the traffic. So if you are coming from an area where you already have traffic, like you live in Miami, or you live in Atlanta, or you live in Los Angeles or Dallas, somewhere where you already have traffic, then you're going to probably laugh when I say that we have traffic here, because the traffic there is much, much worse. But we have traffic, and after you've been here in Utah quite a while, it'll start to bug you, the traffic that you have, and you'll still remember, just like I do when we lived in California, what traffic was all about. The number three thing you need to know, so depending upon where you choose to land in Utah, we have public transportation, and it's actually pretty decent here in the state of Utah if you're around the Salt Lake City area. If you're down in St. George, you're not going to have it. And then if you're up, north of Layton in that area, just further north in Utah, or if you're out east like Moab, they're not going to have great public transportation. You'll have buses, but pretty much that's it. But in the Salt Lake City area, we have something called the TRAX system, and the TRAX is really awesome. It'll get you around South Jordan and West Jordan all the way into the airport to Salt Lake City. Then if you're on the east side of 15, then you have like Draper and Sandy-ish area, and those have a TRAX that gets you up to the airport and to Salt Lake City. So that's really, really cool that you have a TRAX system to take, and that's just a light rail train that that you can take. It's pretty affordable. It's less than $90 a month right now. Who knows if that's going to go up. And then we also have something called the Front Renter train, and that goes all the way from Ogden all the way down to Provo, Utah. So you can take that as well. And then you have buses, Uber and Lyft, and other ride shares that you're going to be able to use to get around. So it just depends on what area you pick. Certain areas are going to have just busing. Some areas will have nothing. And one of the things we can help you with is going over that if that's a need for you for mass transit. Number 4 on the list is the weather, and Utah has all 4 seasons. So, depending upon which part of Utah you choose, if you choose to live in St. George, you're going to have a much milder winter and a much more extreme summer than you would in, say, Salt Lake City area. And so, I'll kind of touch on that right now. If you're living in St. George, you're going to have warmer temperatures. You're going to have more days of 100 degrees during the summertime. It's not going to get as cold in the wintertime. It doesn't snow as much. They get very little snow in the winter compared to Salt Lake City, where we will get anywhere from 6 to about 3 feet of snow over the winter. So, and then more in some of the towns that are near the mountains. It just depends on which part you're moving to. And once again, I can help you with that. If you want snow, you don't want snow. Springtime is one of the best times of year here. All the snow starts to melt that we got. It's rains quite a bit more than it does in some of the other areas, some of the other times of the year, but rain isn't really a big issue. And then in summer, we do have plenty of days of it being warm, which is nice. You're going to be able to do all of your outdoor stuff from spring through fall. And fall time is amazing. The changing of the leaves here is incredible. I don't know if you've seen that or looked at that, but they are awesome. And that's something you're going to be able to deal with. And then it gets colder and that sort of thing. So just know if you're moving here that you're going to deal with rain and snow and heat because we're in a high desert area. And then you got the dryness factor that you're going to need to be aware of. It does get very, very dry here, so you're going to need to stay hydrated. You're going to need to have chapstick. You're going to need to have lotions. Definitely recommend putting sunscreen on. The first summer we were here, it didn't really feel like you needed sunscreen for whatever reason, and we all got really burned when we went to the lake. So now we know, and we apply sunscreen every time we're out and about when we're doing our hiking or just hanging out at the lake. We will make sure that we put sunscreen on me and the kids and the wife. And so just know that you're going to need that sort of stuff here. And since it's dry, the last thing on the dryness factor, lotion is your friend, and you're going to need to apply more lotion or else you're going to end up scratching yourself, causing issues that way. As far as allergies go, I don't seem to have a problem here with allergies, really. I think it's been maybe once or twice for a week or two at most where I've had to take a Claritin. Nothing like what I had in Tennessee, where I was constantly needing allergies from their dust and pollen. That's number 4, the weather that you're going to need to know about. The number 5 thing you're going to need to know is Utah has a state income tax. It's a flat tax of 4.85%. So depending upon where you're coming from, that could be a plus or a minus. For us, when we moved from Tennessee, we didn't have a state income tax in Tennessee, so it was kind of a negative for us. The sales tax here is cheaper in Utah. However, it doesn't feel like you make any more money, but I'm sure at the end of the day, you end up with around the same amount of money if you compare Utah to Tennessee tax-wise. But just know that it's a flat tax here. They've talked about potentially trying to remove it, but I don't know if they'll do that. It would be awesome if we just increase our sales tax to 10% and then get rid of state income tax. Make your taxes much easier to deal with. The number 6 thing, this was another negative for us moving here from Tennessee, is gas prices are higher and they feel like they're higher than they should be. And I didn't understand this until finally I read on one of the Facebook posts about people complaining about our high gas prices in Utah. And they mentioned that we truck in all our gas here typically. And we do have some refineries in Utah, but most of our gas is trucked in. So it costs more to get us gas, where in Tennessee they had pipelines that ran from the Gulf all the way up to Tennessee. So it was cheaper for gas. So I don't know if that's 100% it, but that's what I read. And that seems to make sense to me why we have higher prices. I did a quick search on Gas Buddy. So if you have that app on your phone, if you don't, I would recommend you download it. It's free and you can just hit find gas and then it'll show you the cheapest based on what type of gas you're wanting. Right now we have in Utah, we have 85, 87, and 91 that you can choose from, and then diesel and the ethanol stuff or whatever, and then the other type of gas. But for 85 right now, you're looking at $3.94 a gallon. 91 is $4.35 a gallon. Diesel is $3.69 a gallon. Usually we'll see that Costco or Sam's Club will have a 10 to 20 cent spread on gas, so it's By the time I do gas for the whole year with my Costco membership, I've paid for the membership and then some with just gas. However, that's not the case right now. It seems like it's either the same price as some of the places or it's a couple cents a gallon cheaper, which, at 3 cents a gallon over 20 gallons of gas is 60 cents. I would have to fill up a ton to make 60 cents make $60. And so that's gas prices here. Comment below what your current gallon of gas is, where you're coming from, and it'd be interesting to see. The number 7 thing, and this is the biggest reason for me of why I wanted to move to Utah, is the outdoors. I got really big into going 4-wheel driving, so I bought a Jeep and I take that out as much as I can. There's a bunch of different places to go with that, from a place called 5 Mile Pass, then you have Moab, you have Little Moab, American Fork Canyon, and then there's some other trails and stuff that we will do around, but that's for 4x4ing. Then we have fishing. I'd love to fish. We just went fishing the other day, got some catfish at the local pond, but there's local ponds that are in certain cities around that you can go to. You just need to get a fishing license. They either have it for 1 year, or you can buy like a multi-year pass, and that'll let you fish without a problem if you're not a fisherman. And then you have some of the great fly fishing. That's on my list to go fly fish a few of the rivers this season once the snow melts and everything and the water isn't ice cold. And then you can fly fish as well, but you'll be able to hunt, you can camp, you can backpack, you can hike. There's tons of things that you can do in the outdoors. Utah is one of the best states in the nation for outdoors. You got the 5 national parks that you can go to, and then a ton of other cool things that you can see in the outdoors. So that was one of the big reasons, or my biggest reason of moving here to Utah, was just being able to enjoy the outdoors. I didn't want the humidity anymore, and getting here, it's just dry. So even with it being 90 degrees at night, it's still much better than having it be 90 degrees and humid. The number 8 thing that you need to know before moving to Utah is the incredible views you're going to have of the mountains. So you have the views, just being able to look at the views. It feels like I'm in a snow globe, or I'm looking at a snow globe some days, and the mountains look completely differently with snow on them as without snow. And then Utah Lake, if you're up at the top of Draper and you're looking out over Utah Lake, oh my goodness, the view from up there is amazing. So if you're here or live here and you drive, I would suggest you drive up there and check out that view. It's awesome. It's well worth the drive up to the top of Draper. But you're going to see amazing views throughout Utah from all over that you go and look at, from the Red Rocks near Moab. Just, it's incredible for stuff that you're going to be able to look at here in Utah. The number 9 thing you're going to need to know before moving here is Utah is very family focused, family oriented. It's the home of the LDS Church, where they were formed, and we are either number 1 or number 2 for the youngest population in the United States, and that fluctuates year to year based on. Just know that family is a big thing here in Utah. Number 10 thing you need to know about living in Utah is the job market. We have an incredible job market. From anywhere you choose to live in Utah, it's going to be different. From around the Salt Lake City area, we have healthcare, tech jobs, schooling, just a ton of different small businesses. Down in St. George, you're going to have different businesses, and then up north and east, it just depends on where you land, on what type of industry is going to be around there. But Utah is ranked in the top 10 every year as far as jobs and lowest unemployment, that sort of thing. So you're going to be able to get a job here, and it should be a decent paying job as well. The number 11 thing you need to know, we have 3 airports. There's an airport in St. George, which is small. But if you're living in St. George, I would recommend most of the time you just drive to Vegas, because then you can get nonstop flights from Vegas wherever you want to go, and you can get to Vegas in less than 2 hours from there. So it's worth the drive. A lot of the people from Idaho will drive into Salt Lake City and fly out of Salt Lake City Airport. I sat next to someone the last time I was on the plane, and that's where they were from. They said by the time they drove into Boise and then dealt with the transfers, they could just fly direct from Salt Lake City. So we have Salt Lake City Airport and then Provo Airport as well. Salt Lake City is a Delta hub, so Delta has nonstops to a lot of different cities. or you can just go through one of the other major cities and then get anywhere you want to go with one connection. It just depends. The Provo airport is super cool. It has two different airlines that currently fly commercial out of it, and then you can use them to get where you want to go and then flip to somewhere else. But the airport in Salt Lake City is awesome. It's just being expanded, and it has some really neat food places that we can't get anywhere else. Like, for instance, they have a Panera Bread in there and a Pickup Sticks where you can't get those anywhere else in Salt Lake currently. But they are building a Panera Bread in Riverton right now that's almost done. So they looks like they're expanding to Utah as well, just like Jack in the Box is coming to Utah too. The number 12 thing that's cool about Utah and that you should know is there are a ton of churches. Almost every subdivision, every city has multiple churches, and a lot of those towns will have their own temple, and some of them even have more than one temple. So you're going to see lots and lots of churches scattered around the Utah area. Just certain places will have more than others, but the temples are really cool to look at night. They are all lit up, and it kind of gives you a waypoint. If you can see like the Draper Temple when you're on the valley side, so you know that's east, and then we could see the South Jordan Temple, and then you know that's kind of north. So it just depends on where you live, what temples you have near you, and if you are part of the LDS faith, then you got a temple that's nearby that you'll be able to go to. The number 13 thing on my list of that you should know before moving to Utah is Utah has really, really nice people. And hopefully when you move here that you keep that going and you're friendly to your neighbors and neighborly, and you're welcoming when they move in. You bring them, some cookies or whatnot, cookies, brownies, something, and just welcome the people to the neighborhood. And if they're not from Utah, welcome them to Utah. Give them some places where they can go to eat and go to have fun, that sort of thing. You can tell them about Deer Creek Reservoir, which is my favorite reservoir to go to. Just be nice to people as well. You're going to run into people that aren't nice, of course, but that's going to be everywhere. But overall, on a general basis, the people here in Utah are friendly. Well, if you made it this far and you want to know more about making that move here to Utah, then give me a call, shoot me a text, send me an email. I'd love to chat with you about whatever area in Utah you want to move to, whether that's Moab or St. George or the Salt Lake City area. I'd love to talk to you about that and help you out on your journey here to Utah. And until next time, be rad.